This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Unpacking a key U.S. Supreme Court ruling. That's what we're doing this week here on Real Answers, a regular Wednesday feature during the Family Life News Report, where we discuss the issues that matter to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Welcome back, Chris.
Always a pleasure, Mark.
Always a pleasure to have you here. Parental rights got a big, if not unanimous, affirmation from the highest court in the land. They ruled 6-3 last week that parents have a fundamental right to direct the care, custody, and control of their children, something that's shockingly been rather in question in recent years.
Absolutely. And, one of the key things to know about this case is two things were highlighted. The first was it was right along party lines, or let's say ideological lines. The 6 conservative-leaning justices ruling in favor of the parental rights, whereas the 3 liberal judges ruled more in favor of the schools being able to decide what your children learn. So for all parents, really, this is a fantastic ruling that's going to have far-reaching ramifications, especially for Christians and other faiths, too, that do not want to have certain agendas shoved down their throats, to use the common vernacular of the day.
Yeah, okay, we should probably quickly recap. This actual specific case was a ruling in Maryland that parents could opt their children out of a public school system there, teaching lessons that contain themes about homosexuality and transgenderism if they feel the material conflicts with their faith. And a lot of parents there feel exactly that way.
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to find these sentiments shared by parents across the nation. It's just unreal that how in the past 15 years or so, we have seen a significant shift in the cultural institutions and the educational institutions away from parents being able to not only know what their kids are being taught, but have any kind of say or being even informed. So this is just a tremendously huge ruling. It really is a blessing that the Supreme Court gave parents back the rights to their own children, basically. So this is just a phenomenal ruling, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, a lot of folks are, for sure. Even teacher unions seem to be split on whether that high court ruling was a good thing, which is concerning in and of itself. There certainly are different schools of thought, pardon the pun. I guess a key point here, among many, is that having rights as a parent isn't the same as exercising those rights.
Exactly. And that's one thing that all parents need to do, is understand what their role is from this point forward, and to communicate with their school boards and their administrators of their local school districts and find out exactly how they're going to communicate to the parents, or how are they going to be able to opt their children out from certain types of instruction, because you have to, as a parent, be aware that there is going to be a role for you to play in this. It's not going to be an automatic. They're not going to send home flyers or announcements letting you know. You're going to have to find out how to go about exercising your role as a parent if you do want to opt your children out. So I'd strongly encourage you to connect with your administrators, connect with your school board members. But something I really want to enforce very firmly with folks is to make sure you drive home the idea that you opting out in no way means that you hate the people who hold the opposing viewpoints. This is not a real strategy of folks to say, well, if you disagree with me, that must mean you hate me. Or if you don't support me, or you don't support my views, then you're against me. That's just a total strategy from the enemy. We have to really make sure that when we're communicating about this, we're doing it with grace, yet firmly, and trying to drive home that point that just because we hold to biblical values that others do not appreciate, that we're not hating the other people. We're just saying this is not what we believe in our faith, and that does not mean that we hate folks who do hold the other values. So that's something we really need to communicate, because that strategy of the enemy is going to be continuing to be used through all of this.
Well stated. You're listening to Real Answers. I'm Mark Webster, along with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. We're talking about the implications of last week's ruling on parental rights and controlling what kids are and aren't taught in public schools. And just to follow up then, Chris, it comes down to really having to be very active these days. And we used to just send our kids off to school and trusted the teachers, and everybody there had nothing but our kids' best interests at heart. But defining those best interests has certainly changed over time.
We cannot let our guard down, Mark. We have to be very vigilant. And one of the other Supreme Court justices, Amy Coney Barrett, had pointed out, too, that this shift recently in our society that has been capitalized on by not only lower federal court justices, but also the Supreme Court justices, represents something called judiciary imperialism, basically activism from these legal establishments that are really meant to protect all citizens. And I give her a lot of credit for pointing out that this is a trend that has occurred and that needs to stop. The judges at all levels need to stop acting on their own agendas and enforce laws and be impartial in deciding cases. And I was very happy to see that she pointed that out.
So to wrap it up, is in terms of parenting, we've mentioned that you really do need to be very vigilant anymore.
Yes.
And anything that maybe slips through the cracks at school has to be counteracted just by active parenting back at home, too.
Back at home, absolutely. Find out, get around the dinner table, talk to your kids about what they're learning every day. Start doing it at a young age. I've got my young guys, and we sit down at our table every night and say, hey, what'd you do today? What was your favorite part of the day? What did you learn about today? If you get them in the habit of doing that early, it's going to be a whole lot easier to continue that trend later on when they get to be older, especially when they get into those all critical teen years. That's going to be a real battleground right there. But start it early, keep asking them, keep getting involved in your school districts, and we can't let our guard down. We got to stay involved and stay informed.
Well said. You've been listening to Real Answers, a Wednesday feature of the Family Life Noon Report, where we discuss the issues important to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Thanks again, Chris.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.